all hear me okay? Yes, okay. Thank you for coming this morning, and we're going to have a wonderful presentation today about butterflies and the plants that sustain them. Put on by Diane and Linda, and I'm going to read a little bio for each. Diane Arrington will go first, and she is a Hot Springs native, joined Master Gardeners in 2023. She hoped to learn to garden in honor of her mother, who was an accomplished gardener. Diane received Master Gardener Local and State Rookie of the Year Award. She remembers the thrill of being called a rookie at the age of 72. Diane says she certainly learned a lot about gardening, but more importantly, she cherishes the friends she has made in the Master Gardener community. And Linda Fleming is also a Master Gardener. She joined the Master Gardeners in 2006 while living in Texas Hill County, northwest of Austin, Texas.
Hill Country. Sorry, I spelled it wrong.
Country. Texas Hill Country.
Yeah.
Since then, I have moved often enough to live in 3 states and belong to 4 Master Gardener groups. This has given me a chance to learn the different requirements for a successful garden in different climates and at different altitudes. What better way to learn but to join Master Gardeners in a new area? Everywhere was a little different, offering unique educational opportunities, classroom, hands-on, advanced training, advanced certification groups, demonstration areas, public beautification projects, community coordination projects, or public education. I'm still learning about the natural state. So we'll have Diane start, and we're going to hear all about butterflies and the plants that sustain
Just so you know, Linda was my mentor. What happened here? Let's do this all over again. Linda was my mentor, so she really gets more of the credit for being Rookie of the Year than I do, I think. She's a very good teacher. And she never mind telling me when I was messing up. She'd say, "Now, Diane, what was that called again?" And, oh, yeah, that was. So I've learned a lot as a Master Gardener, and I just love it. And today I get to talk about butterflies. I mean, how much fun is that than to talk about butterflies? My area will be the brush-footed butterflies. Brush-footed butterflies are interesting. They're the largest family of butterflies with over 6,000 species. How cool is that? They're often called 4-footed butterflies because whereas butterflies have 6 legs, the brush-footed butterflies, the front 2 legs look like little brushes, and they don't use them for walking. So they're still legs, but they really, it looks like they only have 4. So a lot of times they're called the 4-footed butterflies. And those little legs are used for sensing and tasting, not for walking at all. All right, our most common, or maybe more talked about, brush-footed butterfly is the monarch. Most of you know about the monarch, right? We hear about the monarch all the time. The monarch host flower, when we talk about host, that's the one that the caterpillar uses that they eat for their energy to be prepared to become one of these beautiful butterflies. Their nectar plant is the blazing star, goldenrod, coneflower, and the Joe Pye. And if you look right up here and see those 2 little dots on that one, that's the only way you can tell between a male and a female. Well, you can kind of tell with the lines too, but mainly just those 2 little dots right there. This one is the male. This lady right here is the female. This is what their caterpillar looks like. So you see those on your milkweed plants. Hopefully you get to see those. Then you're going to have some monarch babies most probably. The monarchs have a built-in compass, which I think is really cool. They use the sun's position and the Earth's magnetic field for migration. I mean, really, how cool is that? Typically, monarchs live 2 to 5 weeks, but they have one special generation that's known as the Methuselah generation. But you can kind of understand why, because they live longer. They live 7 to 8 months because they have to survive that long journey when they all migrate to Mexico. Monarch butterfly. Next one. is the queen butterfly. Look at this one. Isn't that pretty? And some of these butterflies, honestly, I won't know whether it's a girl or a boy, so I may call it a she and may call it a he. But like my grandson and I said, they don't care about pronouns, so y'all forgive me if I call it the wrong thing. But the queen butterfly, again, the host is milkweed, climbing milkweed, dogbane, and nectar is blazing star, mist flower, asters, and the goldenrods. Now the queen caterpillars, and I'm going to call the caterpillars cats because that's easier to say. The cats have 3 sets of tentacles instead of 2 like the monarchs. Isn't that interesting? It has 3 sets. And the cats eat milkweed and dogbane to make themselves taste bitter to the predators, the birds. They'll taste bitter to them. Great spangled fritillary. I think she is so pretty. I mean, look at all her coloring, that yellow with all the fancy marks. It kind of looks like a gorgeous geometric pattern. They host plants are violets. Y'all, don't look at your violets as a weed. I see on Facebook so many people saying, oh, I've got so many violets in my yard. What pesticide do I need to use to kill them? I go on and comment immediately, please don't kill your violets. There are more than 14 species of fritillaries that use violets as their host plant. So leave the violets in your yard. If you want to perfectly manicure your yard, at least leave part of the yard with the violets in it because they are used by a lot of the butterflies. Nectar plants again, milkweed, coneflowers, thistles, joe pie weed, and bee balm. The great spangled fritillary, their caterpillars are nocturnal. So they hide in the leaves in the day, and then at night they come out to feed on the violets at night. So again, they hide in the leaves the leaves on your yard, at least in the spring when the caterpillars are there and they're coming out to feed, especially near your violets. Just leave an area of your yard with the leaves. Morning cloak. I mean, look at that butterfly. It does kind of look like that she's wearing a cloak, doesn't it? I love that. The morning cloak hosts are willows, which I also love because I happen to have a willow tree. So I think that's great. But also American elm, poplars, cottonwoods, nectar. These guys, I mean, they'll go to the flowers, but they like to sip on the tree sap. I mean, okay. Oak, maple, birch. Also, they like rotting fruit, the sap from that. Milkweed, goldenrod, and asters. So they'll go to the flowers, but they really like the tree sap. This butterfly has built-in antifreeze. Yeah. They have 10 to 11 months. They live that long. And they survive the freezing temperatures by producing their own natural sugar-based antifreeze in their body. I mean, who knew, right? Sometimes in the winter months, I don't do very well in the cold anymore, and I'm going to be thinking now, why can't I just make my own antifreeze? Also, they don't need the sun for warmth. Now, they like the sun for warmth, but they're around in the winter, so they have a way to generate their own body heat. They flex their muscles a lot. They flex them over and over and over, rapidly flexing their muscles, and it generates the body heat for them. So if you ever see one of these little guys, looks like they're shivering, and you're thinking, what is wrong with him? He's generating body heat. I love that for him. How awesome. Nature, y'all. Red admiral. These guys they're crazy fierce. He likes his host is the nettles, stinging, false, and wood nettles. Nectar, again, the tree saps, rotting fruits. But he'll also go to asters, milkweed, joe pie weed, coneflowers, and clover. And the males of this species of butterflies are highly territorial. They will actually have dog fights in the air, aerial dog fights for superiority. And the females then choose their mate according to how well they performed in their aerial dog fights. I mean, really? Nature, y'all, is so amazing. Painted lady. I see a lot of these. Y'all see a lot of the painted ladies. They seem to be very, very prolific around this area. Their hosts are the thistles, mallows, hollyhock, asters, nectar on the coneflower, milkweed, dogbane, black-eyed Susan, blazing star, ironweed, Mexican sunflower, and red clover. They're not real particular, but that may be why they are the most widespread butterfly on the planet. They're found on every single continent except for Antarctica. So, I mean, this little butterfly gets around. Plus, they're extreme athletes. They fly up to 30 miles an hour, and it's a small butterfly. If you've seen them, they're tiny. Up to 30 miles an hour, and they migrate up to 9,000 miles. But their migration is different from the monarchs. The monarchs have a particular place they're going every time. They always go there. These ladies don't. They don't have any strict migration pattern. Their journey's triggered by climate patterns and plant abundance. So they're going to go where the climate tells them it's better for them and where there's the most food. I mean, that's pretty smart, right? I love these. Common buckeye. I like him too. I mean, it's not hard to tell where he might get his name, right? He kind of looks like that. The common buckeye, he has quite a few host plants that his caterpillars will be okay with. Plantains, false foxglove, snapdragon, wild petunia, and toad flax. Their nectars, asters, chickseed sunflowers, dogbane, lantana, and peppermint. The common buckeyes are smart pollinators. They can figure out which plants are giving them the most pollination by color. So those color plants are what they're going to go to so that they get the most pollination. And of course, they also have sneaky camouflage. Some of the camouflage are these eyes right here that looks like eyes to predators. So they kind of see that and think, oh, I don't know what that is. That looks like too many of them. I'm going to stay away. But also, when they fold up their wings, they look like a dead brown leaf. So that's another way. That gives them time to rest. They fold up their leaves, even if they're on a branch of something, they look like a dead leaf, and in the ground, it looks like a dead leaf on the ground. So the predators kind of leave it alone that way. Pretty smart. Pearl crescent. I think she's pretty too. Her host plants are the native asters. Whatever the native asters are, if you're not from Arkansas, look it up. You can find the native plants for your area, and they're great. Frost aromatic, bushy. Nectar, they like flat-topped, easily accessible blooms. So things like the asters, your milkweeds, dogbane, thistle, white clover, all that. And the pearl crescents have seasonal camouflage. I mean, we all change seasonal clothes, right? Well, the pearl crescent does too. Her wings shift to a real dull pattern in the fall to help hide from predators. And she reproduces multiple times a year, this one does. They have a unique flying style. You'll see them flittering real close to the ground with real rapid motions, and then they'll go into a deep sudden glide. So they kind of do that back and forth. They go back and forth between those two forms of flight. The question mark butterfly. How in the world would he get that name? What a question. The question mark butterfly has on the back of his wing, backside of his wings, they'll have a little comma with a dot. Usually it's under, but you see some pictures that it's not. I tried to get a good picture of one. They're really hard to see. It's so tiny. But it is just a comma with a dot under it, and it's called the question mark butterfly. Their host caterpillars are hackberry, elm, nettles, and false nettle. They nectar on tree sap, rotting fruit, carrion, yay, animal dung, even better, butterfly weed, and lantana. So this is an interesting guy. Question mark butterflies do not migrate. They hibernate in the tree bark, tree crevices, and they also produce that natural glycerol in their bodies for antifreeze for the wintertime. They also have a seasonal wardrobe change. In the summer, they have really dark, almost entirely black hind wings. So I would say this picture was probably taken in the summer because that looks pretty black, doesn't it? But in the fall, their overwintering feature is bright orange hind wings. So where that's black, it's going to be more bright orange with violet gray edges around it. How pretty. Next, his cousin. I don't know if they're really cousins, but since he's called a comma and the other one was a question mark, I call him cousin. The eastern comma butterfly. The host plants are elms, nettles, and hops. The nectar is tree sap, rotting food, joe pie weed, common milkweed, and sumac. Okay, the eastern comma also does not migrate. They overwinter, again, like their cousin, in tree bark and in wood piles. And also, I didn't say this about the question mark, but every once in a while in the winter, if we have a sort of warm day, you might see these butterflies flying around. They'll kind of wake up and fly a little bit if we get a warm day. The nickname for this butterfly is hop merchant, H-O-P, hop merchant, because historically they always preferred the hop vines, so they called them the hop merchants. And farmers looked at their chrysalis to predict hop prices. So if the chrysalis was a golden color, prices were going to be high for them that year. If they were silver, it meant a low price. So if you want to see what your beer is going to cost, look for these chrysalis and see if their chrysalis is gold or silver. We use it for hops are used for other things other than beer, but that's usually what we think of, isn't it? Next, the viceroy. This butterfly look familiar to another one we looked at? It kind of does, doesn't it? It looks a lot like the monarch. The host plant, again, is the willows, eastern cottonwood, and Carolina poplar. Their common nectar they like a lot is milkweed, butterfly weed, joe pie weed, goldenrod, aster, and ironweed. The viceroy does mimic the look of the monarch, and we've always thought it was to trick the predators, that they weren't really poisonous, they weren't toxic or taste bitter to the birds, that they just mimicked them so it would look like that. Well, now scientists have found out that they actually do taste bitter to the birds because they eat the salicylic, I wanted to be sure I said that correctly, acid from the host willow tree, and that makes them bitter to birds as well. So they're also bitter to the birds just like their friend the monarch is. They hibernate in winter. I love this, this is so cool. They take a willow leaf and they wrap that willow leaf around their bodies. I'd love to see that. I wonder how they do that. That they wrap themselves in a willow leaf and secure it to a branch of the tree with silk. I mean, who knew? You know, one thing, our willow tree, I'm going to be out looking for these little things. If I see Harvey, we have to look for those in our willow tree and see if we find any of them. I think that's so cool. This guy is called the red-spotted purple. He hosts in trees, a few of them, but the ones he likes the best are the black cherry, willows, poplars, oaks, and cottonwoods. Nectar, again, seems like the ones that have hosts in trees, they like that tree sap, which makes sense, doesn't it? Moisture from the dung and carrion, juice from rotting fruit. Wow, what a dinner. Small white flowers like the arrowwood and the meadowsweet. Red-spotted purple mimics the pipe vine swallowtail. Linda will tell you about that one probably in just a little bit. Their cats deter predators by camouflaging themselves to look like bird droppings. I wish I thought to pull up a copy of that, but look that up. Look up the caterpillar of the red-spotted purple butterfly, and he does look a lot like cat droppings. They're like a mottled brown and green color and kind of look like they have some lumps on them and things. I mean, it's really cool. While eating a leaf, these caterpillars chew up the leaf, but they leave that center vein. They leave the center part of it, and they string its own dung pellets along with leaf that they've chewed up, along this strand of the leaf. And they use that, they call it the poop chain. That's what I read, I promise. They rest on that, and these are, the fancy name for it is frass spars, Frass, S-P-A-R-S, frass spars. That's the poop chain that they make and to rest on. Nature, y'all. God had a sense of humor, didn't he? I mean, you gotta think. Hackberry emperor. The hackberry emperor likes native trees in the Celtis genus, common hackberry and sugarberry being some. Nectar, tree sap, rotting fruit, dung, carrion. But this bird also likes a lot of minerals from the gravel. I know Linda's going to talk some about puddling. They love the puddling, sandy riverbanks, and they've been known to land on humans to drink your perspiration. So if this butterfly lands on you, then just let him eat there for a minute, it'll be all right. That's really cool. And the American snout. I mean, is it hard to see where he got that name? Look at that butterfly. How cool is that, right? Their host for the caterpillars is the hackberry trees. They nectar on clustered flowers. They like things like the aster, buttonbush, dogbane, goldenrods, lantana, butterfly bush, all some of my favorites too. I see why they like it, and the zinnias. So cool. They're famous for looking like a dead leaf. When they fold up their wings, they just look like a brown leaf laying there. But also, they have a bizarre gender quirk. The males have the 4 working legs, and the females have 6 working legs. I don't know why, but anyway, they do. And my very favorite butterfly, I say what I think the best for last is the Diana fritillaria. I mean, maybe I like the Diana because, you know, she was named after me. She is a beautiful butterfly. Well, the male and the female are. And this one, it's easy to tell between the two. This one, the blue one, this is the female. The orange is the male. And you'll see both of them in your yard. Hopefully you do. The Diana only lives in 2 areas of the United States. They live in the southern Appalachian Mountain region, and they live in the Ozarks. Yay us, right? That's why, well, I don't know if that's why, but it is Arkansas state butterfly. So if we had a smart politician, that's why they chose this one. So, yeah, and her numbers have been waning, but with talking about planting all the native plants in classes like this, we are getting more. And hopefully I'll tell you a little bit how you can get more of them. Their host plants are the native violets. And there's not just one native violet here. There are lots of native violets, several. I'm only going to show you a few of them. This is the one that you usually see in your yard. It has those real dark green, almost heart-shaped leaves. It's beautiful. And that's what the caterpillars want. They have to have the violets. But also this one right here, this is one of the new ones. I actually have planted, I know, why do you plant them if they're native and they're already in my yard? But I wanted a native violet bed as part of my garden in my yard. So I have planted these in my yard to have a native violet bed. I'm really hoping to get more Dianas. I've seen a few. I saw one yesterday in the yard, but I want more for them and for our environment. This one right here, Linda actually gave me one of these, and it's cool. It looks different from the other violets. It's called a bird's foot violet, and it actually does. The leaves on it, can you see this right here? It kind of looks like a bird's foot, the formation of the leaves. So cool. We have one violet in Arkansas that's a native violet that is yellow, and that's that beautiful girl right there. The downy yellow viola pubescens. I don't have that one yet, so that's a goal for me for my garden for next year is to get the downy yellow. I love that. Okay, nectar, Some of the same ones that the others do. Milkweeds, butterfly weeds, coneflowers, ironweeds, thistles, Joe Pye weed, mountain mint, and red clover. They like a lot. Look at those, aren't they beautiful? Okay, their life cycle. This is important. From August to October, the females wander your yard or your forest for dropping single pale white eggs on dead leaves and sticks near the violets. So what do? Don't rake. Don't be so quick to rake up all your yard. If you just can't stand it, please just choose a part of your yard where maybe you've got some violets coming up, or you hopefully have planted some violets and they're coming up. Leave that part with the leaf. They're not gonna lay their eggs if your yard is perfectly grass or whatever, you don't have the leaves and the sticks for them to lay the eggs in. It's important. So this is a no rake time from August to October. And then from fall to spring, no rake time. Sorry, y'all, you just gotta leave them for a little while. Those tiny first instar cats hatch in the fall, and immediately they're gonna enter a dormant state called diapause. They spend the entire winter, the caterpillars, hidden in leaf litter without eating anything. They're just hiding in your leaf litter. It's so important that you leave at least a portion of your yard with all of those leaves and little sticks. Then they emerge in the spring. They eat the leaves and flowers of violets. So you want the violets there with the leaf litter. Late spring, the grown caterpillars form chunky chestnut brown chrysalis hidden in leaf litter to undergo their metamorphosis. So you're probably not going to see them when they're in the metamorphosis state or the chrysalis state or even the caterpillars. They're hiding in that leaf litter. If you're raking it up and burning them, guess what else you're burning? All of those caterpillars that may be there or the eggs. Okay, see what the butterflies say? Now you can rake. Thanks for waiting for us. From June to September. Actually, we start seeing ours in May. I saw a lot of places where people were posting, I've got the Dianas here. So it says late spring, which that's May for us. So adults emerge in late spring. The males will come out 2 weeks earlier than the females. The males are going to live about 4 to 5 months. The females however, they're going to live 9 months at least, because they have to survive the summer in a reproductive resting state before laying her eggs in the fall. So she's out there all summer trying to get all the nectar she can. You've got to have nectar plants that are blooming all through every season. Don't just get the ones that bloom in April or May. You want them to keep blooming during the summer. So try to find those and plant those in your garden. All right. Bilateral gynandromorph. This is a real thing, I promise. This occurs in about 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 40,000 butterflies. Not just the Dianas, but with the Dianas, because the males and the females are so distinctly different colored, when one of them occurs in the Dianas, then you get this. I mean, look at that. You would look at that. When I first saw a picture of this online, I thought, that's got to be AI, right? So I started researching it. It's not AI. It happens in other butterflies too. But again, with the Diana, it's easily discernible. You see it easily. And I believe, these are some things you can go to. That top one kind of cut off, and that's kind of most important to me. There's a place on Facebook called the Diana Project. And they're encouraging people, they're really trying to see where the numbers of the Dianas are now. So they encourage everybody to go on that site. You can also go to it by a website too, if you don't do Facebook. And log when you see one. I'm in Hot Springs, Arkansas, saw a Diana on this date. So please take advantage of that to let them know the Xerxes Society does the same thing. Also, the iNaturalist does the same thing. They have a site for that as well. And that's my talk. So.
Okay, now how to get rid of Diane? I don't say, don't escape, is there escape?
Oh, you want me to hear Linda? She's got it.
In the dark. And full screen, flashing, flashing, yeah, Okey dokey. There we go. And the clicker.
Oh, I got it in my hand. I walked off with it.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, now, second half of the show. As you all are here, we divided up a list of common butterflies, so I have second half, all right? I've got whites and sulfurs for y'all. Whites and sulfurs, they're commonly found in fields, meadows, gardens, host plants, key host plants, alfalfa clover. And they're one that produce multiple generations during spring and fall. The sulfurs and the whites, they're one that doesn't like the cold. So, like some of us that are turning into snowbirds, go south, they migrate to the southern states when it gets chilly here, or wherever they're at. But there are ones that you can see because they fly pretty low to the ground. You see them flitting through your garden. They only fly like 3 to 9 feet above the ground level, so you see them a lot. Now, the whites and sulfurs, you see a lot of different colors, and you also see different shapes. There's like, 300 of these things, but in Arkansas, 15 to 18 are common hue. But this is what we usually see. When they are feeding, they fold up their wings, and then it's hard to identify them. You need a book which tells you where the spots are, to be able to identify them when they're in the feeding position here. The first slide, there's a whole lot of shapes and different colors, but then they all look alike. Here's a kind of a fuzzy picture, but the clouded sulfur, it's the same butterfly. The one on top, folded up, that one's feeding, but the other one is resting. So that's what they'll do. They'll have their wings out so they can sit in the sun and rest. And then you can identify them if you really want to, okay? Cloudless sulfur, host is a partridge and peas and legumes. Eggs hatch real fast for these guys. And on the right, this little green larva. Most of them are going to look kind of green like that. Crystals of the cloudless sulfur. These guys look like a leaf. Very good camouflage. The cabbage white. This guy will eat your cabbage, okay? He's actually considered a pest a lot of places because of the damage that he'll do to your vegetable garden and also commercial crops. So look out for this guy. One little dot on the white wing, but they all seem to have kind of a green larva. If you're growing cabbage, kale, bok choy, and broccoli in your garden, you might want to check. When you're out there looking for those squash bugs in the morning and those eggs from the squash bugs, you might want to check your cabbages too. The skippers, okay. This is one of those that, like there's 2,500 identified species of these, most of them in Central and South America, but we have 22 species that are pretty common here in Arkansas that you'll see in your yard. Their features are different from butterflies. Sometimes they're confused with moths. Yeah. They might look like a moth versus a butterfly because they have those stout bodies, pretty heavy, They have a big head, and they have a rapid, erratic flight. They're smaller than a lot of average butterflies, but there are two major groups of these skippers. There's the spread wing and the grass skippers. Spread wing skipper, host plants. I thought this was a very interesting larva.
Yeah.
Just a little caterpillar, the caterpillar, the larva, stage for him. He might be easy to find on them, I'm not too sure. Okay, come on. Fiery skipper. Okay, he's called the grass, he's a grass skipper. And as you can guess, host plants for these are the grasses in your yards. And in the meadows, they like the open areas. Okay, for these guys, they're mostly browns and oranges, but there are exceptions. This fellow here on the right, silver spotted skipper, looks totally different than the other guy. Most of them are more neutral colors, but there are some exceptions. Okay, come on. Okay. They have a long wing family. This guy has a little bit of long wing. This guy has a really long wing here. They're both at least skippers. And still, the colors again are very, very neutral on these two guys. Skippers spread their wings to rest, and then they close them when they feed. That's why there are so many pictures of them. They all kind of look alike because they're feeding. They don't show much color when they're feeding. Their wings are folded. A northern cloudy wing and the section. Okay. Now, the pretty ones, the swallowtail butterflies, 550 species worldwide, everywhere except Antarctica, like that one that Diana mentioned. But there's 6 species that are most common in Arkansas, the ones that we'll see here. So if you want to attract these common ones, you want to plant native plants. They really like the parsley, the fennel, spice bush, and a tulip tree. Okay. Their larvae, they have a lot of camouflage. This guy, they'll be rolled up in a leaf, make them look a lot bigger, so they look like a snake. But here's the one, the bird dropping, the one that Diane mentioned, looked like, I don't know what she said it looked like. It didn't sound very good. Didn't sound appetizing if I was going to be after it. Okay, and then this here, the osmeterium is an organ on these fellows when they're threatened. They push this out. You can see it's orange color. Makes it look bigger, makes it look mean, and it also smells very bad. So that's their natural defense when they feel threatened. The pretty ones here, the spice bush swallowtail. Most plants, spice bush, sassafras. I thought one thing I found looking for pictures of these guys was the view from the top and the view from the bottom. The bottom of their wings had a lot of color to these. Some of the other ones, like the sulfurs and white, they look pretty plain. But these fellows are a whole lot different. Eastern tiger swallowtail. This is a pretty one. They like the trees, okay, for their host plants, lots of trees. Here's a comparing the male to the female. And I did not see too many pictures of comparing male to female, but coloring is definitely different. The black swallowtail, host plants, parsley, and dill. He had an interesting larva also, kind of like that monarch, I thought. Black swallowtail. Okay. Here's a pretty one. The zebra swallowtail. Their host plant is a pawpaw tree, and we do have pawpaw trees that grow. They're native here in Arkansas. So that's what will attract them to our area. Their bottom view is pretty colorful also compared to the top view of these guys. Ooh. Giant swallowtail. For host citrus prickly ash common rue. This is another butterfly that I thought had a lot of coloration, top and bottom, if you see them in the wild. And the pipe vine. A top and bottom view again. Passion flower species are hosts for these guys. Okay, those were the common swallowtails that you'll see in our area. So, this is information. Is this on their handout? No, that's not part, okay. All right, so our Diane brought this back from the conference. Diana Polker, who's a Polker County Master Gardener, made this presentation there. And we thought it would be interesting as a summary for you all. A beautiful butterfly garden. We all would like to have one of those, wouldn't we? Okay, her first step, she says, make a plan, all right? You're gonna create a hospitable environment that will entice butterflies to stay long enough to lay their eggs at your house. So if you have a plan, the plants that you have, the area that you have, you can keep them close. If you determine which species you're really interested in seeing in your area that you want to attract, then you can look at the host plants that they like, that they need, host plants they need, and the nectar plants that are their preference. During a typical year, 134 butterfly species may be sighted in Arkansas, including the year-round residents, the summer residents, and those that are migrating. Beginning in early spring, continuing through the fall, species sighted in Arkansas vary according to the area that you live in. We're in the Ouachita Mountains here, so that's the area that you would be looking for. So you can make a list of the plants that support those butterflies and choose a suitable spot in your yard. There is no yard too small. Keep that in mind. Okay, number 2, provide food. Host plants and nectar food, okay? Adults rely solely on liquid food sources like the nectar, the tree sap that so many of them like, and fallen fruit. Since different butterfly species nectar at different heights, feed at different heights, it's helpful to plant both perennials and annuals of varying height. Our favorite butterfly perennials at the Legacy Gardens as a project in Faulkner County are purple coneflower, anise hyssop, black-eyed Susans, black and blue salvias, verbena, asters, phlox, liatris, vitex tree, butterfly weed. Our favorite butterfly annuals include lantana, coreopsis, zinnias, scarlet sage, and Mexican sunflowers. Butterflies prefer flowers that have a tubular shape, like bee balm and salvias, and small clusters of flowers, lantanas and phloxes. And those with landing pads, like a coneflower, you see on your zinnias a lot in your yard because they have that flat landing surface. And the colors that they like are pink, orange, red, white, yellow, and purple. The butterfly larvae have chewing mouth parts and feed on leafy plants, like your milkweed. You'll strip that down to a stem. The parsley, spinel, steel, pipe vines, passion vine, oak, hops, and violets, just to name a few. These are called larva host plants and will be specific to the butterfly you are attracting. So you definitely need to know what the host plant is for those butterflies. And then the nectar plants are much more general. Native plants are best. Remember this because the butterflies have evolved with them. And that's why we emphasize the need of native plants. We have 30 different native plants in their butterfly garden there in Faulkner County. We have to go make it sound like a day trip, doesn't it? A field trip. We'll go find that garden, which was mentioned in here. Okay. And then have flowering plants that cover all the seasons. We emphasize the native plants, but remember that most natives, they don't bloom all summer like those annuals that you buy, the seasons that you plant. There are early season, mid-season, and late season bloomers in the native plants. You have to be aware, and when you research native plants, you'll see that information. Please keep that in mind. Okay, they say create a shelter. Okay, there's places like trees, bushes, benches, and grasses where butterflies go to protect themselves from rain, roost at night, hide from predators, and a place to form their crystals. So they need shelter, not all a wide open area. Offer water. Butterflies prefer water sources, including shallow puddles, pebbles, and moist, sandy areas. These areas provide salts and essential minerals needed for reproduction. And keep it sunny. Butterflies are cold-blooded. They are less active on cool mornings. If you have your butterfly garden in a sunny spot, they'll be there to warm up their bodies. But a shade garden is an asset to butterflies as well. There are numerous shade-loving butterfly and nectar plants. I wish they had listed those, because I have a lot of shade at my house, so I have to do the research to find out which ones are those. Plant in drifts, which makes sense. You're going to group your plants in drifts 3 to 5 or even more, because butterflies see color, and they'll find the drifts more attractive and find them more easily than a single plant, and they'll want to stay longer. And then, of course, go organic. Chemical fertilizers and pesticides can harm butterflies during every stage of their life cycle, from eggs to caterpillar to adult butterfly. While many gardeners may not love seeing the chewed up leaves, those that are munched, are actually a sign that your garden is supporting life. Caterpillars need host plants to grow and develop, and a little leaf damage is simply part of creating a healthy butterfly habitat. Don't worry, as healthy host plants recover quickly, and the reward of watching the butterflies thrive is well worth it. So some basic rules here. Think about those if you want to attract butterflies to your garden. And now, why do butterflies puddle? We talked about that in several things, how they need the minerals and the salts and whatever that are mentioned. Okay, why do they puddle? And in these pictures, the species that are most commonly seen at puddles are swallowtails and sulfurs and whites. And we had several of those that were common here, the sulfurs and the whites and the swallowtails that I mentioned before. Okay, mostly males are collecting various minerals and nutrients such as sodium and amino acids to aid in reproduction. And I found an article from the Florida Museum of Natural History's Butterfly Rainforest. So, male butterflies, just like any living creature, they're trying to ensure they reproduce. One of the ways they do that is by passing on nutrients along with genetic material to the females when they are mating. When butterflies mate, males transfer a spermatophore to the females. Think of this as a tiny package that holds just about everything a female needs to produce healthy fertilized eggs. And that's why you may see huge swarms of dozens or even more, even hundreds of butterflies at a good puddling spot. The more males that can gather nutrients, the more success the species will have of reproducing. So this is an important thing, something we don't always see or think about. So you can create your own puddle station. This is all you need to do. You find and fill a shallow dish fill it with sand or soil, put in just enough water to moisten the soil, and sprinkle some salt on it. Okay, also set out overripe fruit like bananas or oranges. Those were mentioned as something that several species like, that rotten fruit. And then keep your soil moist during the heat of the day. So be aware if it's in a sunny spot, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna do that at my place. And one more thing. Build to support pollinators and birds using only Arkansas natives, from quail forever. You know that this is Pollinator Week? Okay. Pollinator Week. There was a presentation, Tuesday, whatever, at the depot, presented by Quail Forever and also the county Conservation District. Okay, so a good presentation on pollinators, including butterflies, the bees, all the moths, with an emphasis on preserving their natural habitat. Man is out there, building Walmarts and whatever, parking lots and all. So preserving the natural habitat is something that they work for. So I thought this was an interesting picture. I wish I had this as a handout, but I didn't give it the time. But I can send it out to you if you'd like. Very simple. The wild bergamot, purple coneflower on the left, black-eyed Susan, blue stem grass at the bottom, asters over here, common milkweed also, all in the same area. And this is an example of when I talk about native plants, they don't bloom all summer long. You want to be aware because there are early bloomers, there are midsummer bloomers, and also late bloomers. I've been talking about the monarch butterflies. When they start to head south on their migration, they're not going to be reproducing. They're probably in their fifth or so generations. They're not going to be interested in reproducing. They're trying to save energy so that they can fly to Mexico. So they need a lot of nectar. So in the fall, we're talking about those asters that are there. I don't know that the milkweed would still be blooming. The seeds, black-eyed Susan would be. They need the nectar so the monarchs can make their trip to Mexico. Those and other species that we've mentioned here that do migrate a little bit. That's why we need those bloomers in the fall, nectar plants for the monarchs specifically, and other species that also will migrate. So, you can't buy happiness, but you get close to it, okay? Well, make them natives when you're doing that, all right? And you don't stop gardening when you get old. You get old when you stop gardening. So don't do that, all right? Okay, so, please, what kind of questions do you have for Diane and myself? The information we provided or anything else, we'll talk about. I'll talk this for you. Any questions, anybody, about this? Yes, ma'am.
The salt that you put in the puddle area,
Yeah.
did they specify, does it need to be like sea salt or?
Or no iodine, Celtic, no, they just say salt. And that was from, the university.
That's what I read also, just salt. Okay, there we have.
Okay,
So
so
the
the head,
the fact that they were saying they needed minerals out of it,
Yes.
I wondered if Celtic might not be it. Because it would give more.
it's amino acids.
Yeah.
And, what was the other term? Amino acids, something on one side. Okay, the other handout that the handout that you did get, the one that has, list of butterflies and plants, you've got this particular sheet. If you're looking to attract specific butterflies in your garden, consider planting a few of these host plants. Host plants, where they lay their eggs. And then that's where the caterpillars will devour the leaves, store enough energy for the metamorphosis. And this is a great handout because you'll see that it has native plants identified. And then on the back, they got that one. Okay, here's the references again. And nectar plants and then resources here. And remember, I keep talking about the natives, early season, mid-season, and late. Those late season bloomers. So you want to be sure to be aware of that. This is a real good reference right here. I like this really, really well. butterflies and what they like, and the native, whether it's native plant or not. Oh, any other questions? You know everything that there is to know about it, right?
You know everything we know. Thank you so
All
much for
right,
coming.
yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you both, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
I want you all to stick around and get out your little raffle tickets, because we have some prizes to give away. I'll talk about that at the end. Okay, so we have a couple of wonderful books to, native plants for gardening for bees, butterflies, and birds.
Okay. The first number is, last three numbers, 770.
It's actually Emily that had the baby. She gave me her ticket. And she's got.
Take a picture of that.
Okay, and then the second book,
The last three numbers is 765.
765. All right. And then we have some plants to give away. And what are these?
These are Becky daisies, which they, when I was reading on them, they have a flat surface on the blossom, which allows for bees and other things to stop and rest while they're getting their nectar. So even though they're not native, they're a good plant for pollinators to rest. Okay, last three numbers, 753. 753?
Some people already left. Must be present to win.
Yeah. Oh, 754. Right here.
What color are the daisies?
Daisies, yellow center with the white.
I didn't know those were different.
We've got a run going here. 756.
All right.
All right.
We got something.
You did?
Okay, 759.
Something new for us. Can't take you anywhere.
And 769.
6-9?
769.
You're gonna be on Facebook here in about 5 minutes, okay?
And I apologize for this one, my deer got to it, but it was still going. 766.
All right.
And then we have a couple of, I also have a couple of royal catch flies. If you're not familiar with them, this is what they look like. They're a native, but they're becoming rare and almost extinct because of the habitat loss. They're sticky because they attract like any pests that are gonna eat them, sticks to them and digests them. But the hummers love them and the butterflies love them. And I've got two of those to give away. They're a slow grower. These planted in January, so they're very slow growing the first year. The second year they'll flower, and then they'll sort of spread out a little bit, but be sure to mark them, because in the winter they'll die back and you won't see them in the spring, and they'll come up and you'll say, now what were those? So make sure you mark what they are when you plant them.
Full sign?
Okay, 761.
And there's a little thing that tells about, oh, good. It's kind of wet on the bottom, I'm sorry.
And a 764.
Alrighty. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.